Hello guys, welcome to OBILU TV. My name is Okoje Christopher. First of all, before we kick off on this program, I'm going to quickly offer my sincere apology to all our fans, all our subscribers, our viewers everywhere around the world, that we are so sorry for not being on air for quite a period of time right now, because we had to put a lot of things in perspective so that we will be able to always come on air and give you all what you want about farming and all the rest. Right now, to be kick-starting this program with us in this our new episode of doling out goodies about organic farming to you, I want you to meet Mr. OBILU himself. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Christopher. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm glad to be on this program. I'm glad to be on this platform. I'm glad that a lot of people are understanding what we are teaching them. I'm glad that a whole lot of stuff are being put in perspective and we are saving a lot of farms. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Christopher. Okay, right now, let us kickstart without wasting much of our time. Today, we shall be discussing a lot of stuff, and we shall be letting Mr. OBILU himself handle this whole important topic, because there have been a lot of questions coming to us. Those of you who have been asking questions from the comment section, and also those who have been calling. Well, first of all, I want to quickly really give thanks to those who have been calling us to know how we're doing, because we've not been posting. But I want to tell you that God bless you, and we thank God seriously for helping us to put a lot in perspective so that we can be back on air again. And for those who are participating in our offline training program, well, a lot of you can have enough story to tell for being able to gain new ideas to save your farm and to profit in your organic farming endeavor. Right now, Mr. OBILU, there are a lot of questions here, but this episode may not permit us to take all of them, so we are going to be breaking them in series, as we are going to be discussing so many intricate questions about farming. Right now, first of all, Mr. OBILU, what is your take on biosecurity in poultry? Yes, before I answer this very, very important question, why biosecurity in the farm? What is my take or my view on biosecurity? I must first of all have to thank God for giving us the knowledge, the wisdom, and the wherewithal to help people to really understand the need. To really understand what we are teaching people, and that what we are teaching people on this channel is actually gaining ground. Yeah, thank you. Biosecurity is you cannot underestimate biosecurity. You cannot underestimate it, because if you do not consider biosecurity so well in your farm can go down. All your investments, your millions, your thousands of dollars, your millions of dollars or millions of naira, CDs, or whatever currency you may be using in your country, a colossal amount of money will go down the drain if biosecurity is not put in proper perspective. Yes, what is biosecurity in the first instance? Biosecurity is just an act of maintaining proper hygiene and preventing disease from coming in the first place. Yes, from preventing disease, just a way of preventing disease from coming into your farm in the first instance. So now, for instance, as human beings, we always make sure that we clean our plates, the one we used to eat. We clean our house. We make sure we use disinfectants and wash our hands. Even most especially ever since the advent of COVID-19, a lot of people have learned the habit of cleaning their hands and washing their hands and all that. So why are we doing all this? Is a way of, first of all, not giving bacteria and viruses avenue to live in our midst. so also it is in the farm. Yes, that is also how you have it in the farm. As a farmer, you always have to make sure that your birds are kept away from disease infestation, because bacteria and viruses are the biggest enemy that any farmer can have. So all these bacteria and viruses, we always need to make sure that we do our best to keep them away. But one thing that people don't understand is that you can do your best to also put them away. Somebody will be asking now, yes, I've been practicing biosecurity in my farm to the top of my knowledge, but yet I'm still experiencing crisis in my farm here and there. Yes, another thing people don't understand is when you treat your birds and you always give them medication and all that, the medication you give to them, always do well to make sure that those your birds have built up immunity to withstand the effect of those diseases. Some of those diseases could still be existing in or on the body of those birds, but they have withstood the disease and it can no longer harm them, and then they will grow effectively. But when your bird go to another person's farm and that farm has not been treated against this kind of disease that is still within them, but it's no longer harming them, there's always every tendency of this disease being spread to another farm. Or for instance, you have properly taken care of your birds and they are okay, but another person may not have properly taken care of his or her farm, and then you go and import birds from there, or you peradventure an occasion warrant you take some of your birds to that person's farm or cage or wherever the person, or pen, or wherever the person is using to harbor them. You add your birds to them and you eventually want to pick them and bring them to your farm. What you are doing is you are just on your own importing diseases to your farm, and those diseases are alien to your birds. So because of that, your bird have a lot of battle to face, and you yourself will not have it funny. So that is why most time I always encourage people, if you ever want to have a reason to mingle your birds with other birds outside, or bring in another bird from another farm into your farm, please first of all isolate those birds, treat them with the medications you'll be using in your farm for like a week or more before you can introduce, when they are fine, they are okay, before you can introduce them to the flock you have. If not, there will be problem. So that is why biosecurity is very, very expedient. Thank you so much for that wonderful answers. Another question right here is, Mr. OBILU, how do we manage temperature in farm, most especially in the life of broilers? How do we manage temperature? I know that yes, in the life of layers, we as well need to manage temperature, but in the life of broilers, how do we really manage temperature, and what's your take about it? Okay, thank you very much. Temperature management. Temperature management is very, very essential in your farm. Temperature management, because your bird most of the time don't do well at some certain temperature. So some of them have the ability to withstand cold, some don't have. Some have the ability to withstand heat more than others. So what you have to do is that, like I have been teaching a lot of students, is that you should always try as much as possible to maintain at most 21 degrees Celsius in your farm. But sometimes temperature could rise beyond that, and you may not, as a meager farmer or as a low income farmer, you may not have enough money to be doing a beauty heat extractor in your farm, and also and a lot of other. But one thing you should well understand is that apart from using heat extractor, setting up air conditioning system and all that in your farm, there are still other ways you can build your farm to maintain proper temperature, to make sure that you keep temperature at bay. At proper perspective between 21 to 23 or 24, at most 25 degrees Celsius. Number one, ventilation should be in proper perspective. The ventilation of your farm should be very, very good. It should be top notch. Yes, the breeze should be able to come in and go out. Why? Because this is the best way you can manage this is one of the best way you can manage temperature in your farm. Even for instance, in the vehicle you drive, radiator uses this principle by bringing in air and also blowing the air out. That is why you have fan in the radiator system of your vehicle. It brings air in and then use it to cool the water that is running through the engine, and also pump it, also expel it. So because of that, it keeps the temperature of the engine at a certain level. So the same way, you can always use ventilation to control the temperature in your farm. Sometimes some people can decide to put very giant fan in their farm, depending on the weather, depending on the climate that they are farming at. Sometimes, now for instance, in Nigeria, the northern region of Nigeria, which is our country, the northern region of Nigeria, is always very hot. Sometimes they get up to 40 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius, or 60 degrees Celsius, as the case may be. And at that situation, you see that a lot of people will be having problem with both ultraviolet rays and infrared rays. Understand? So, but what you still have to do is that sometimes if you can have some big fan to set up on your farm, you use it to blow air so that it can bring in colder air from outside and then push out hot air from the farm. Understand? So that will help you to always keep and manage temperature. Another way I always suggest to people to manage their temperature is by using cold water. Sometimes if you have access to ice block, in your farm or from your home, you can bring it and put it in their water reservoir so that when they drink it, it helps to cool them down. Another system is by sprinkling them with cool water. Maybe the water you want to use, you can put ice block in it so that it cools down, then use it to sprinkle them. Another system you can use too is to always immerse them in water. If you have enough ability or staff in your farm to help you to do that, that is, you put water in a bucket or a bowl, and each time you pick each of the birds, you barricade your farm so that those you have already treated cannot mix with the ones untreated. So you barricade it, you pick from the ones that have not been immersed in water, you pick them, you immerse them that in water, and then you drop it somewhere else. So this will help you to always keep their temperature at bay. So but while doing this, please make sure that you do not dip their head into the water. Just make sure that the immersion gets to their neck downward into the water, and then always just keep them like that. So that will help you. Why am I saying you shouldn't keep their eyes? You shouldn't dip their head into the water. It doesn't mean that by the time of immersion that the water will kill them. No, but sometimes diseases can be spread from the fluid or in their eyes. Yes, water droplet from their eyes or sputum from their mouth can spread some kind of disease that may be in some of the birds. Understand? So in order to prevent that communication of disease, please don't let their head be immersed in that same water. Just from the neck downward, immerse it like that, just like baptism. Just baptize each and every one of them with water in the hot afternoon. So that will help to take care of keep their temperature down throughout the day till the nightfall. And most of the time, even in hot regions of the world, most of the time the night time is always colder. So thank you. Well, I think the other time we got a call from somebody who have been raising a whole lot of birds for quite a number of time right now, and then she was going through a lot. She was going through a lot of crisis in her farm, and that would have cost her, millions upon millions of naira to resolve, or else she will be losing her farm where to the cold hands of diseases and bacteria that were ravaging her farm. If you're influenza and all the rest. I think from lots that she now learns in our training, she was able to revive the farm by herself. Yes, that's what we do. We teach you to revive your farm by yourself and also to manage your farm by yourself. We don't, in all our classes, we don't really need to be with you in your farm, but right here in Nigeria, we can manage your farm, we can supervise your farm there in America, in Kuwait, in Germany, in Italy, yes, Italy, as far as Spain too. So we've been getting a lot of calls, and a lot of people have been registering for our training programs over there. But what we really do, we do a one-on-one connection, a one-on-one directive, and a one-on-one mentoring program. But that notwithstanding, what you are getting here right now on this our channel is still so powerfully packed. Okay, right now let's get on to another question. Mr. Obilu, thank you so much for being there for us today. This is another question. What is the need of water and medication, and why is it necessary to always bombard the system of birds with medication? Water and medication in poultry farm is these two things are something you can't do without in poultry farm. Even in real life, water make up about 85 to 90% of the body mass. Yes, so it is water that keeps all the cells of the body to function. It's the water that makes their body function, and the cells are made up of a lot of water molecules and all that, so they always need water to drink. And also through water we give them medications, except for a couple of other medications that we may advise you to apply to them via their feed. Understand? So water is very necessary. When water becomes scarce in their midst, or your staff is not feeding giving enough water to them, that's why sometimes using automatic watering system can can go far in helping you to make sure that there's constant water supply to your bird. Why? Because if there is no water, there is always a high tendency for them to lose weight and for them to dehydrate. Dehydration can lead to a lot of massive loss of your bird. Yes, it can lead to mortality seriously. So water is very necessary. And then medication, yes, medication, because their system are always undergoing mitotic and meiosis division every time. That is, their cells are always growing. That is what I mean. Their cells are always growing, replicating and multiplying and all that. So there is always a whole lot of metabolic reactions going on in their system, and so they don't have that ability to build immunity against a lot of diseases, microorganisms and all that tends to come into their system via the food they eat and the water they drink. So this medication help them to either kill off the disease causing bacteria in their life, in their system, or to help them to build immunity against most of these disease causing bacteria. So that is why it is always very, very, very pertinent that you give them a medication as instructed by your farm instructor or your consultant. Understand? By either your farm instructor or your farm consultant, your your farm health consultant. So this is what we always advise. Give them water, give them medication, and then expect your profiting. Thank you. Mr. Bilu, another question here is why organic? Why organic medication? Why do we need to give organic medication instead of synthetic medication like most of us grew up knowing how to take care of animals around us? That's a very good question, and a big one, for crying out loud. Yes, many synthetic medication has failed us, the farmers, the consumers, and even birds themselves. Yes, number one, organic medication, they are far cheaper. Yes, you run your farm far with less cost compared to you running your farm on organic on synthetic medication. For instance, I want to use Nigeria as my exemplary explanation, because we live in Nigeria. For instance, for you to buy a sachet of antibiotics, that is the synthetic antibiotics, it costs you nothing less than 5,000 to 6,000 for a sachet, or 4,000 as the case may be, depending on the brand and the quality of antibiotics that you're buying. And sometimes those antibiotics could be designed to just treat like 100 or 150 birds. So for instance, you are taking care of a large farm, like some people raise 2,000, 3,000, or 10,000 as the case may be. Now, for instance, you are taking care of a large farm. That means you will be talking about millions of naira to buy antibiotics just for a single serve in your farm. And then when you spend a lot of thousands of naira to treat, to do a single serve, and most time synthetic instructors or veterinarists will always tell you that you should repeat this medication for like 3 to 4 days or 5 days. So if your inclusion rate is telling you that you should use this particular medication for this number of time, that means you are going to spend a whole lot, compared to the fact that this, in place of antibiotics, these synthetic antibiotics, you are using our organic antibiotics, such as cloves, ginger, and garlic. You don't need to spend all that. You can even plant them in your garden, and then you get them absolutely for free. You get them absolutely for free, except for the fact that you may have to buy molasses. Understand? And comparing the price of molasses to what you would have spent in buying antibiotics and all that in the market, you see that you have saved a whole lot of cash. Another reason why you should consider organic medication compared to synthetic medication is that they cure your farm more effectively. They take care of your farm more effectively than you would have while you are using synthetic medication. Another point you failed to mention, or maybe I don't know if you would have it as a question to ask, is if it's a scalable thing to use organic medication to take care of a large a large farm. Yes, that question is 100% yes, it's scalable. Yes, you can use organic medication to take care of very large farm. Is it 1,000 birds you are raising? 20,000 birds, 50,000 birds, 100,000 birds? You can use it for all of them. So all you just got to do is you know either attend our class or get in contact with us. We will tell you what to do, how to scale it up to all the big size of farm that you are raising, and then you will enjoy it. A lot of people have been enjoying it. Yes, somebody was asking, can we also use organic medication for layers and all that? Yes, we will give you some instructions on what to do, and then you will quite be able to fit all this one into your layers farm, and you know, turkey as well as geese or ducks and all that, they will always, you know, be good. Yes, they are also useful for other farm animals. In our subsequent classes, we shall be discussing much of that. Thank you so much. Okay, well guys, you can hear by yourself, and by the grace of God, this whole principle that Mr. OBILU has been doling out to us, they have been so practicable. We have practiced it in our farms and the farms of all our consultees, and they've always given us good and never disappointing results. For those who feel that they try to practice what we taught them and it didn't work, well, I can assure you that you might have made some mistakes somehow. Yes, you might have made some mistakes somehow. Just for instance, one of our students called us one time. I was busy complaining, why is it that she raised her birds and they all grew perfectly, and now they want to weigh them, they are not giving. I mean, when it was finally time for her to weigh to sell the birds, somebody brought scale to her farm, and then they were not giving the accurate weight or the exact weight as she expected. So and then when we asked her what exactly how she fed and whether she followed our instructions to the letter, we now discovered that she was busy feeding her birds with starter and not finisher as at when due. Well, until we come your way next time, please be in good shape, maintain good health, take care of your birds, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, till we come your way again. Yes, like he had just said. Bye for now. God bless you.